They mistook your glow for a gimmick. Now they crave the fire they can't hold. Now imagine this for a moment, chosen one. Someone spits on a seed because it looks like a dead thing. No leaves, no fruit, no crown. They laugh, mock, walk away. But what they didn't see was the soil shaking, roots growing, the heavens aligning, and by the time that seed cracked open the earth, it was too late to take back the disrespect. That's you. That's what just happened. They judged the seed, not knowing it was destined to become the tree they'd one day need for shelter. And now, they're watching you bloom from a distance, with dry lips and deep regret. Psychologically, most people judge within the first 7 seconds of meeting someone. It's instinct, it's unconscious. But when the ego's in charge, it turns assumptions into arrogance. They thought you were beneath them, too quiet, too gentle, too awkward, too deep, too intense, too hard to read. What they didn't realize was that you were watching them the whole time, studying, not performing, observing, not chasing. And now that the glow-up isn't physical, it's energetic, they're spiraling, because they never expected the one they misjudged to be the very one they'd crave when everything else failed. And thank you, chosen one, for being here right now. Don't forget to pay this message forward by simply pressing the like and subscribe button. This is more than a video, it's a mission. And by liking it, you're helping this reach another chosen one who's healing in silence right now, thinking they're crazy when really they're glowing. Your click isn't small, it's light being spread. And thank you again for being part of this force, for standing in truth when lies were louder, for holding your power when it was easier to prove it. You are the mission. And now, let's get back into it, because this one's about to sting. Not for you, for them. They regret judging you too quickly. Oh, they do. But don't be fooled by their silence. Regret doesn't always come with an apology. It often comes with obsession, with stalking your page, mimicking your aura, showing up in your dreams, and trying to recreate your energy in people who don't even come close. That's what they're doing now. Because what they thought was ordinary turned out to be sacred. They confused your humility with invisibility. But now that the universe is exalting you in front of them, their pride is eating them alive. Let's tell the truth. When people judge you too quickly, it's not about who you are, it's about who they refuse to be. Your energy triggers them. Your peace exposes their chaos. Your quiet depth calls out their shallow performance. That's why they laughed, gossiped, spread rumors, tried to bait you. But now, they're falling. Not just emotionally, spiritually, psychologically, because you didn't break, you didn't chase, you disappeared. And the moment you stopped feeding the connection, the parasite started starving. Let's go even deeper. They used to roll their eyes at your silence, but now that silence, it's addictive, it's mysterious, it's pulling on them like a force they can't shake. Why? Because your glow is not noise. It's frequency. It doesn't beg to be seen. It demands to be felt. And now they're starting to feel it in every room they walk into where the energy doesn't match yours. In every interaction that falls flat, because no one speaks their soul like you did. You didn't just impact them, you imprinted them. And that's why the regret is turning into obsession. They said you were too intense, too emotional, too quiet, too complicated, but you were never too much. They were just too shallow to swim in your depth, and now they miss it. But let's be clear, this isn't about romance. This is about recognition, the kind that only happens after you're gone, the kind that keeps them up at night. They judged you like a chapter. Now they're begging to reread the whole book they never finished. But baby, that library's closed. And the best part, You didn't seek revenge. You didn't throw shade. You glowed in silence. You elevated. You aligned. And the universe, it took notes. And now, every time they hear your name, see your face, or feel your energy echoing in someone else, they get hit with that same bitter truth. They had access to something divine, and they dropped it. Stay with me, because in the next part, we're breaking this down step by step, from the moment they judged you to the moment they realized you were never the weak one. You were the mirror, and now that mirror is shattering everything they thought they knew about love, power, and presence. Let's go, and listen closely, chosen one. What you just heard, that was only the opening scene. The real story, the one they never saw coming, is about to unfold step by step. So stay locked in, because this next part will explain why their judgment turned into obsession and how your silence became the stage for their downfall. Drop the number 777 in the comments if you feel them falling harder with every move you make. And if you're able, bless the mission with a super thanks, because every light you send helps this truth reach another soul who's been underestimated too long. And now, let's go even deeper, because if you're a true chosen one, you already feel it in your bones. The pull to stay until the very end. Let's get started. Number 1. You were the test they failed. They thought you were average, but you were the exam they weren't qualified to pass. They judged you at your lowest, and now they're addicted to your rise. Isn't that something, chosen one? How quickly they went from critic to captive, from mocking you to watching you, from "you're not my type" to "why can't I stop thinking about them?" But here's the gut punch truth. They never had the capacity to understand you because they were never meant to carry your frequency. They were tourists in a realm you were born to master. They looked at you and thought they knew your story, based it on your silence, your healing, your stillness. They thought you were stuck. They didn't realize you were loading. See, people who lack spiritual depth will always confuse stillness with stagnation. But chosen one, you weren't standing still, you were calibrating, and what they mistook as weakness was actually wisdom. You were studying the room they were performing in. Now imagine this for a moment, chosen one. Someone walks into a library, sees a thick, dusty book sitting quietly on the shelf, and decides it's not important, because it's not flashy, it's not loud, it's not trending. But that book, it contains the answers to their life test. By the time they realize it, someone else has checked it out, and now they're scrambling, begging for a glimpse of the pages they once ignored. That's you. You were the sacred manual they misjudged, and now that the test has come, they failed. Let's talk facts. Most people aren't trained to recognize spiritual wealth. They value noise over depth, glitter over gold, comfort over character. So when someone like you enters their life, grounded, deep, divinely unpredictable, they panic. Because you don't play by their rules, you don't chase, you don't flatter their egos, and they don't know how to handle what they didn't expect. They tried to box you into roles they were used to, predictable, safe, manageable. But you were never built to be managed. You were built to be remembered. And now, they can't unsee it. They judged you too quickly, not realizing the universe was testing them through you. The test was, will you respect what you don't understand? Will you nurture what feels unfamiliar? Will you recognize a soul that's been through fire and didn't burn bitter? And they failed. They gossiped. They withheld. They pushed you away. They ignored their intuition. And now, that silence they once celebrated, it's haunting them. Chosen one, let me give you a truth bomb. You were the divine riddle wrapped in a human form. Not everyone will have the emotional intelligence to solve you, and that's okay, because your role wasn't to stay in spaces that didn't honor your depth. It was to reveal what couldn't be faked. Your presence brought truth to the surface. Their reaction revealed their character. That was the test. They didn't just lose access to you, they lost access to the version of themselves they could have become in your presence. And now, that gap, it's loud, because they know something pure entered their life. And they rejected it. They judged the surface and missed the blessing. They assumed they were the prize. Turns out, you were the answer key. You were the lesson in disguise, and now they're learning through pain what they could have learned through love. That's how the universe works. First it whispers, then it slaps. You were the whisper. Their regret? That's the slap. Think about all the famous people who were judged too soon. Oprah was told she wasn't fit for television. Stephen King's first novel got rejected 30 times. J.K. Rowling was a single mom living on welfare. Every one of them was laughed at before they were celebrated. Why? Because people love to judge the trailer and worship the premiere. But you, chosen one, aren't waiting for their applause. You've already left the theater. They're falling now, not because you changed, but because they finally saw the depth, the grace, the strength they once mocked. And it's driving them crazy that someone else might get to experience what they so casually discarded. That's what's making their heart twist. It's not just that they judged you, it's that they realize they judged the one thing they now crave most. Your silence is louder than their praise. Your peace is their punishment. Your absence is a reminder that some opportunities don't knock twice. You didn't just move on, chosen one. You leveled out of their reach. And now they're stuck in emotional purgatory, scrolling, stalking, studying, trying to decode the energy they once disrespected. So let them regret. Let them replay, let them fantasize. You were the test, you were the lesson, and they were never ready for either. But you passed, and now the universe is rewarding you in front of the very ones who tried to humble you. Stay calm, stay grounded. You don't need revenge, because regret is loud, obsession is obvious, and karma has perfect aim. Number 2, they chose chaos. You chose calm. Now they miss the peace they mocked. They mocked your stillness. Now they suffocate in their own noise. They had a front row seat to your energy, chosen one, and they laughed, called it boring, said you were too calm, too quiet, too inward. They mistook your peace for passivity, your silence for weakness. And now, they're choking in the chaos they picked over your presence. That stillness they mocked. It's haunting them, because it wasn't silence, it was sanctuary. And you were the only soul in their life that didn't compete, didn't beg, didn't break the room with ego. You were the still water they could have healed in. But they chose fire. People addicted to dysfunction will always find peace threatening. You showed up grounded, calm, unshaken. You didn't chase. You didn't scream. You didn't try to prove your worth. And that unnerved them. Because chaos only thrives around reaction. And you didn't give them that. You gave them the opposite, clarity. And for someone who thrives off confusion, that clarity felt like exposure. Now imagine this for a moment, chosen one. Someone standing in a beautiful, clean, open meadow, but all they've ever known is a burning city. The birds scare them. The silence sounds suspicious. The grass beneath their feet feels unfamiliar. So they run, right back to the fire, back to the noise, because to someone unhealed, peace feels like punishment. That's exactly what happened with them. They couldn't handle your peace, but now that they're drowning in chaos, they miss it like air. They tried to tame your aura with toxicity, tried to test your boundaries with mind games, but you didn't play, and that made you unforgettable, because the world is full of people playing roles, chasing attention, begging to be seen. But you were present. You didn't need to speak to make an impact. And that scares people who rely on performance to feel powerful. Here's the truth. Your peace was the mirror. It reflected everything they were hiding from. That's why they flinched. That's why they called you boring. Because in your silence, they saw their own noise. In your calm, they faced their own chaos. And now, they're addicted to the very drama that's destroying them, while secretly craving the peace they once called too much. It's funny, isn't it? How they ran from you because you didn't bring the roller coaster. Now they're stuck on one that never ends. And every scream, every betrayal, every sleepless night is a reminder of what they lost. You weren't just calm, chosen one. You were home. You know what the rarest energy on this planet is? A soul that doesn't react to nonsense. A person who doesn't get dragged into every battle, every insult, every attempt to provoke. That's you. And now they see that. They see the difference between peace and passivity, between stillness and stagnation. They see that you were powerful because you didn't need to dominate the room. You were powerful because you could have, but you chose not to. They chose the ones who yelled louder, posted more, flirted harder. You chose your healing, your quiet routines, your prayers, your boundaries. And now they're left with noise. Constant, loud, draining noise. And the only thing louder than the drama? Their own regret. Because let's be real, what they called boring was actually sacred. What they called too quiet was divinely intentional. While they ran toward chaos dressed as excitement, you were building peace brick by brick. You were fasting from dysfunction. You were detoxing from trauma. You were protecting your nervous system like royalty. And now, they're losing sleep while you're glowing. You ever hear of how monks can sit in absolute stillness and feel more alive than someone running around chasing every thrill? That's your spirit. Your power comes from your discipline, and discipline is terrifying to people who have none. You showed them what it looks like to be centered in a world that wants everyone off balance. That wasn't boring. That was divine alignment. Now they scroll your page just to feel calm again. They replay conversations with you because no one else listens like you did. They sit in their messy, chaotic relationships, wondering how they fumbled the only person who made them feel safe. And here's the twist. Your calm is still echoing in their spirit, because energy never lies. And the energy you brought, it was healing them in ways they didn't even recognize until it was gone. Let them miss you, chosen one. Let them crave the peace they once laughed at. You were the breath of fresh air they didn't know they needed. Now they're suffocating, and every gasp is a lesson. They picked chaos. You chose calm, and now they're stuck in noise, realizing too late that you were the silence that could have saved them. Stay grounded, stay soft, stay sacred, because nothing haunts a soul like the peace they mocked, and now miss with every fiber of their being. Number 3. They wanted a trophy, not a treasure. They wanted a trophy, but you were the treasure buried too deep for shallow people to keep. See, chosen one, they weren't looking for depth. They were looking for display, something pretty on their arm, something loud on their timeline. They were chasing clout, not character, energy that looked good in public, even if it was poison in private. They wanted someone who could boost their image, not someone who would transform their soul. And you You didn't play that shallow game. You were never made to be seen first. You were made to be felt. Now imagine this. They picked the loudest voice in the room, and now they can't even sleep in silence. They chose someone who knew how to pose for the camera, but couldn't hold space for real love. And they see you now, still glowing, still rising, untouched by the mess they ran to. Their soul is starving because what they chased couldn't feed them. It was cotton candy, sweet in public, hollow in private. And now they remember the one they labeled too quiet, too spiritual, too deep. The one who actually carried peace, the one who prayed for them behind closed doors, the one who never needed attention to be powerful. You were the real, and they couldn't recognize it because their eyes were trained on performance, not presence. The universe has a law. When you dishonor a rare gift, that gift gets removed. And when it's gone, no copy, no substitute, no distraction can replace it. Now they scroll through fake smiles and filtered perfection. But nothing moves them like you did. They feel empty after parties. They're haunted by the stillness you used to bring. They thought they wanted a trophy until they lost the treasure. And here's the brutal truth, chosen one. They can't get it back because the treasure moved on. You stopped dimming. You stopped explaining. You stopped bleeding for people who called your healing too much. Now you're focused, elevated, watched by many, touched by none. And they're left with glitter. But you were the gold. And that realization, that's a lifetime sentence. Number 4. Your disappearance hit harder than any argument. They expected fireworks, but you walked away like an earthquake, quiet, but everything shifted. Chosen one, you didn't scream, you didn't explain, you didn't give them the emotional explosion they wanted so they could twist your power into weakness. You did something far more terrifying. You disappeared, completely. And that silence? It's louder in their mind than any insult, any argument, any final word you could have spoken. See, people like them feed off reaction. They wanted you to break down, to fight for the bond they already destroyed. They needed a scene to prove to themselves they still had access. But what did you do? You left the stage mid-performance. No script, no warning, just stillness. And now that silence is haunting them. They replay that last look in your eyes like it's a prophecy they can't outrun. They hear your voice in songs, in dreams, in crowded rooms. They don't admit it, but they wonder, what if they never come back? And the truth is, you won't. Because your absence wasn't just an escape. It was a message, a mirror, a final exam they failed, with no chance to retake it. Now imagine them scrolling, searching, hoping you'll post something, anything that says you're still emotionally reachable, but all they see is the echo of your glow getting brighter, stronger, more focused. Your silence isn't passive. It's spiritual warfare. It's protection, it's power. Because when a soul as rare as yours walks away in peace, it forces people to sit with their chaos. Your disappearance stripped them of the game. No back and forth, no closure, just the weight of their own choices bouncing off the walls of their mind. And chosen one, here's what's beautiful. They underestimated how powerful you are when you go quiet, but now they know. Your silence is not weakness. It's sacred. It's strategy. It's the loudest no the universe could send. And every time they remember you, not the noise, but the stillness, it cuts deeper than any argument ever could. Number 5. They're attracted to the power they tried to destroy. They didn't hate you. They hated how small they felt in your presence. Chosen one, let's call it what it was. They weren't rejecting you, they were rejecting the mirror your energy held up to their face. You came with strength, with poise, with an energy that demanded truth without ever raising your voice. And that shook their ego to the core. They mocked your confidence, called it arrogance. They rolled their eyes at your boundaries, called them too much. But behind closed doors, they were watching, studying, secretly wishing they could hold themselves the way you did. Because deep down, they knew they were never built to carry the kind of power you wear so effortlessly. And here's what makes it worse for them, now that you've risen, now that you've detached and glowed up in silence. They feel the loss in their bones, because they didn't just lose a person, they lost access to a vibration they can't fake, can't replicate, and definitely can't replace. You were the fire they tried to put out, and now it's the warmth they miss most. They tried to dim you, now you're shining so bright. They can't look away. They tried to shrink you. Now you walk with presence so divine, it makes them question who they are. You weren't too much, you were too real. And now the truth is screaming through their soul. They didn't walk away because you weren't enough. They walked because they knew they weren't enough for you. And now that you've healed, evolved, leveled up, that truth haunts them. That glow they once dismissed, they crave it now, obsessively. The same laugh they mocked now echoes in their memory. The same eyes they avoided now follow them in dreams. And the same love they rejected, they'd trade everything to feel it again. But it's too late, because once a chosen one realizes their worth, they don't lower their light to comfort cowards. They rise, they rebuild, they reign. And now, every time they see you thriving, it's a reminder of the power they tried to destroy, and the fact that it never needed their validation to shine. Number 6. Every win you post feels like a personal attack to them. They wanted to forget you, but your glow keeps reminding them what they lost. Chosen one, you never had to scream your worth. You just had to keep moving. And now, every time you post a win, every time you quietly rise, sign a deal, look better, feel lighter, they feel it like a slap to the soul. Because you didn't go online to prove anything, but your glow proves everything. You were never the loud one. You were the calm storm. The kind of quiet that made people uncomfortable because it spoke louder than noise. And now, your silence has evolved into evidence. Evidence that you weren't weak. You were just wiser. You didn't rush to clap back. You let your blessings do the talking. Now every post you make feels like a verdict. Every smile you show, a sentence passed on their conscience. Because they know, they misread you, they judged the unhealed version of you, and now they're haunted by the healed one. Your glow is a mirror, and it's exposing them, not you. That's why they stalk your stories, but never support. That's why they copy your style, but can't carry the same weight. Because your success isn't surface level. It's spiritual justice. It's proof that the universe was watching the whole time. And the wins you're walking in now were never handed, they were earned. Every time they scroll past your progress, they feel that sting, that ache, that pit in the stomach that whispers, you could have been part of this, but you chose pride. And the worst part? You're not doing anything to them, you're just being. And that alone is punishment to their ego. You see, they expected you to break, to beg, to fade into bitterness, but instead you bloomed in silence, in solitude. And now that you're winning, without spite, without revenge, just grace, it terrifies them. Because what kind of power is that? It's chosen energy, the kind the universe crowns in private and reveals in glory. And now they're stuck watching every win, knowing deep down, the one they dismissed is the one they should have never let go. Number 7. Their type couldn't handle their trauma. You could have healed it. They picked performance over presence, and now the show is killing them. Chosen one. They didn't pick you because you lacked something. They picked them because you saw too much. You saw through the charm. You heard the silence between their words. You noticed the pain behind the posts. And that terrified them, because you weren't just loving them, you were disarming them. You didn't want to fix them. You wanted to sit with them in their darkness and remind them they weren't alone. But they weren't ready, so they ran. Not toward love, but toward distraction, toward someone who matched their mask, who wouldn't ask questions, who wouldn't hold up a mirror. But guess what? That shallow connection, that pretty face and curated vibe, it couldn't hold their wounds, couldn't touch their soul, couldn't carry the storms you were built to walk through. And now they're unraveling in silence, because the one who could have loved them in truth is the one they treated like a threat. You weren't flashy enough, weren't fake enough. You were real, and real feels risky to the broken. Now they sit beside someone who can't feel them, can't read their energy, can't sense the shifts in their mood like you used to, because while they chased chemistry, you offered connection, and that kind of connection doesn't die, it echoes. Late at night when the noise fades, they remember the way you listened, the way you noticed the little things, the way you made them feel seen, not just wanted. And now, that ghost of what could have been is louder than ever. Because their type can't hold their trauma, can't handle their truth. But you would have nurtured the wounds they were too ashamed to name, not with pity, but with power, because that's what chosen ones do. We don't save people, we remind them who they are. And now, the memory of that kind of love is a scar they can't cover. So let them pretend they're happy, let them post the smiles. But know this, the soul always knows when it lost something sacred. And you, chosen one, you were the healer they rejected. Now they're bleeding where you would have held them whole. Number 8, they didn't expect you to rise without them. They mistook your heartbreak for a finish line, but it was just your launch sequence. Chosen one, let's be honest, they thought they broke you. When they walked away, they imagined you spiraling, crying, reaching, falling, because that's what their ego needed to believe, that your worth depended on their presence. But you did something they never saw coming. You rose. You didn't make noise. You didn't play victim. You went quiet, not because you were weak, but because you were rebuilding, in silence, in shadows, in sacred alignment with the universe. And what happened next? That was divine. While they flaunted their distractions, you focused on your destiny. While they entertained shallow attention, you reconnected with your true power. And now, you're glowing in ways they can't explain, winning in ways they swore you couldn't, blooming in peace while they're surrounded by chaos they created. They expected you to fall apart, but you became the version of yourself they were never strong enough to stand beside. That's what's haunting them now, because in their mind, they were the best you'd ever have. But your evolution is proving otherwise. Every move you make in silence echoes louder than any argument. Every step forward reminds them they were just a chapter, not the story. And it's not just the success that stings, it's the way you carry it, calm, humble, unbothered, like their absence wasn't the devastation they hoped for, but the liberation you needed. The universe didn't just restore you, it upgraded you. And now you walk like someone who's protected, someone who knows they're chosen, and that drives them insane. Because nothing is more terrifying to someone who try break you, then thrive like they never existed. So don't look back. Don't explain your growth. Let your silence keep speaking. Let your glow keep burning. Because chosen one, you didn't just survive what they did, you transcended it. And now your life is a mirror they can't escape, one that reflects their biggest mistake. They thought you needed them to rise, but it turns out their absence was the very thing that set you free. Number 9. Their circle is falling apart. Yours is glowing up. They had a crowd. You had clarity. Now look who's still standing. Chosen one, they used to laugh at your solitude, called you the loner, the weird one, the one who didn't fit into their fake little social games. They mistook your isolation as rejection, but you were just being protected. While they chased popularity, you were being positioned. While they sat in circles of ego, you were learning how to sit with your soul. And now, that same circle they paraded like royalty is collapsing. You see, when connections are built on gossip, clout and convenience, they eventually rot. Their crew looked cute on the outside, but behind closed doors, betrayal, jealousy, backstabbing, they've become prisoners in the drama they once called loyalty. And every mask they wore to impress the world is now slipping one by one. Meanwhile, your energy, peaceful, clean, powerful, you're surrounded by alignment, not attachment. The people entering your life now match your frequency. They're rare, real, divine, not just cheering for your wins, but praying for your growth. And the difference is undeniable. They're watching this shift happen, watching how the very solitude they mocked has transformed you into a force. And deep down, they want back in. They want access to your peace, your glow, your gravity. But you've changed. You don't entertain chaos anymore. You don't sit at tables where love is a competition. You don't trade your energy for attention. You protect it like gold. Because you didn't lose people, chosen one. You lost liabilities. You shed what couldn't grow with you. You outgrew noise disguised as love. And now their circle is falling apart while your destiny is falling into place. Let them watch. Let them sit in the rooms they once bragged about, realizing there's no real loyalty there. Let them replay every moment they mocked your stillness while you keep building in silence, surrounded by the right ones. You were never meant to fit in their circle. You were born to elevate above it. And now that the universe is exposing every hidden snake around them, they're finally realizing the one they laughed at is the one the heavens were protecting. Number 10. They're in love with the same aura they judged. They used to flinch at your fire, now they're freezing without it. Chosen one, they didn't understand you, so they judged you. They labeled your aura too intense, your presence too loud, your soul too deep. They mocked what they couldn't mirror. You weren't just different, you were divine frequency in human form. And instead of honoring that, they ran. But the universe is funny like that. It waits. Because now, they feel everything they once dismissed. The silence where your voice used to echo. It rings in their chest. The light you used to shine in their darkness feels like a void now. And every scroll through your social media, every accidental glimpse of your name, sends a chill through their spine they can't shake. They didn't just judge you, they judged the energy they secretly needed. You were their mirror, their medicine, their moment of truth. And when they mocked you, they were really mocking the parts of themselves they buried. You were too intense. No, you were too real, too raw, too honest for the mask they were still trying to wear. And now they're suffocating under that same mask, while replaying your words like a sacred mantra they finally wish they understood. Cosmic regret is no joke. It hits in the silence. It hits in dreams. It hits when the person you dismissed starts glowing in ways you never imagined. And now they're haunted. Haunted by the version of you they tried to suppress. Haunted by the love they couldn't return. Haunted by the aura they tried to dim, but couldn't. They didn't realize that your energy wasn't loud. It was resonant. It stayed in the room long after you left. It lingered in their chest, like a song they can't stop humming, even though they forgot the words. Now they feel that absence, like a shadow stretching across every shallow connection they try to fake. Let them feel it. Let them ache for the same soul they once mocked. Let them fall in love with a memory they can't rewrite. Because now, you're not just the one that got away. You're the one the universe crowned while they were still caught up in comparison. And that is punishment they'll never admit. Number 11. The universe blocked them from accessing you again. They had the key, but they used it to break the lock. Now the door's sealed forever. Chosen one, they had access to something sacred. You, your time, your energy, your loyalty, your soul. And they didn't just misuse it, they took it for granted, thinking the door would stay open forever. But the universe, it doesn't forget energy. It doesn't forget intentions. And it doesn't grant second chances to those who mocked divine gifts. Now they're pacing, regretting, plotting comebacks, telling themselves, maybe if I text, maybe if I bump into them, maybe they'll give me one more shot. But every time they try, something stops them. Their messages don't deliver. Their calls drop. Their timing is always off. And if they do get close, something weird happens. Almost like life itself is protecting you, because it is. You see, what they don't realize is this. The same universe that watched them mishandle you is the same force blocking them now. This isn't just silence, it's spiritual security, divine restraining orders, energy gates that don't open for fake apologies or recycled lies. They didn't just burn a bridge, they scorched sacred ground. And now, every attempt to come back gets met with karma. Their phone glitches, their car won't start, their words get caught in their throat. Because they're not speaking to you anymore, they're speaking to the judgment of the universe. And deep down, they feel it, that something bigger is keeping them out, that no matter how badly they want back in, the door is no longer theirs to knock on. And even if it was, you've changed the locks, you've raised the frequency, and their old energy doesn't match the new room you're in. Let them bang on closed doors. Let them rehearse apologies you'll never hear, because the same force that pulled you away from their chaos is the same force keeping them exactly where they belong, outside. They had access to royalty. They played games. Now they're banished from the kingdom they didn't respect. And the universe made one thing clear. They can miss you, they can want you, but they will never reach you again. Number 12. You became the fantasy they'll never touch again. They touched heaven and spit in the sky. Now they look up and beg for rain. Chosen one, you were real. Not some illusion, not a placeholder, not another option on a list. You were the calm in their chaos, the soul in their silence, the rare frequency they didn't even know how to name until it was gone. And now, you're not just a memory. You're a myth in their mind. A fantasy they replay with tears in their eyes and shame in their chest. See, they had access to something divine, and they blew it. They wanted excitement over substance, ego over intimacy, followers over frequency, so they fumbled a blessing thinking it was just another moment. But now, the truth is screaming in their bones. You were the rarest thing they'd ever hold, and now they'll never touch it again. They scroll in silence, dream in guilt, replay old messages like scripture, but none of it brings you back, because you've ascended, evolved. The version of you they mishandled doesn't exist anymore. The glow-up wasn't just physical, it was spiritual, and now what they crave is no longer in reach. Let them drown in nostalgia. Let them spiral in silent obsession, because what they see now is what they mocked before: your loyalty, your depth, your softness, your light. And they realize the person they left behind was the only one who saw them without their mask, the only one who didn't want anything from them except their truth. But you're no longer waiting for their truth. You became the mystery they can't decode, the dream they wake up from in sweat, the what-if that stalks them in rooms full of noise. You became everything they prayed for after they betrayed it. And that's the curse now. They didn't just lose you, they lost the chance to ever meet someone like you again, because the universe doesn't hand out soul contracts to people who sign in pencil and erase when it's hard. Now they live in longing, they ache in silence, because they know the truth. You were the fantasy, but now you're the one thing they can't manifest. Not in this lifetime. And now they're falling for you, but not with joy, with ache, with longing, with the kind of sorrow that no apology can fix. You were everything they couldn't see until it was gone. But you're not bitter. You're better, and they'll feel it every time they close their eyes. If this hit your soul, drop 777 in the comments to confirm their regret is real. Like this video, subscribe for more messages like this, and share it with another chosen one who needs to hear it. You were the blessing. They just weren't ready.